your new image. On behalf of the Chamber, we want to warmly welcome each of you to tonight's Commissioner Candidate Forum. We appreciate you for being here on this beautiful Wednesday evening. First, I'd like to extend a sincere thanks to our hosts, the Blue Crabs. We appreciate you all for opening your doors to us. A special thank you to Christian Hyman for your partnership and support for making this event possible. I also want to acknowledge our board of directors who are scattered throughout the room and out on the premises for helping to make sure that this event is going forward and the subsequent events, but also for your leadership and service and continued commitment to the business community right here in Charles County. To our commissioner candidates, thank you. Thank you all for accepting our invitation. We appreciate your willingness to step forward, engage, and have the important conversation with our business community. And to our members and community, we thank you. Thank you for your responses to this forum. It has been overwhelming. We received a number of questions, and while we couldn't quite get all of the questions on tonight's forum, we did take a lot into consideration, and you'll hear some of those shared this evening, so thank you. Our team worked really hard to compile as many of the most frequently asked questions for tonight's discussion. Due to the high volume number of candidates and the excellent questions, we want to apologize in advance. I had to read that part. Apologize if you don't hear your question asked. Tonight is about ensuring that the voice of business is heard clearly, respectfully, and with purpose. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you all, or reintroduce the leader who is helping to make sure that this vision goes forward, that Charles County Chamber of Commerce continues to be the voice of businesses in the community and beyond, none other than our president and CEO, who will then introduce our moderators who will guide us through the next stages of this program, and that is Ms. Kathy Guzman.
Thank you, Lakeisha. Good evening, all. Before I introduce our moderators, I want to make sure to introduce our timekeeper, who is our immediate past chair on our board and general manager of the Shops at Waldorf, Ms. Natanya Thomas. So again, candidates, please make sure she is the one that you will be looking for, for your time. But your moderators, who I will introduce to you, and the entire family here, and I call that the family and community, are as follows. First moderator, Dr. D. Sapp. D. Sapp, LHD, is a civic and corporate strategist with over 18 years of leadership in policy, advocacy, and nonprofit governance. She serves on the board of directors for the Charles County Chamber of Commerce as parliamentarian and legislative committee chair, and is the founder and CEO of Accessibility Bridge Corporation, and Executive Director of the Sunrise Project, and CEO of DSAT Consulting. Appointed by Governor Wes Moore to lead the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council, Dee is recognized as an advocate for accessibility and inclusive policy, bringing both professional expertise and lived experience to her work. Please welcome our first moderator, Dr. Dee Sapp. Second moderator, Craig Renner. Craig has a long history of civic involvement in Charles County, including serving as the president of the Charles County Chamber of Commerce, as president of the County Board of Elections, on numerous homeowner associations in St. Charles, on the form of government committee that established Charles County as a Code Home Rule County, a chairman of the Judicial Nominating Commission, as a member of the Charles County Planning Commission, and currently as a member of the Waldorf Lions Club. Please welcome Craig Renner. It's my pleasure to turn it over this evening to both of our moderators. They will give our candidates the instructions. You will listen for your questions, and we look forward to a very productive evening. Thank you all again.
Good evening. I'm going to start with the opening. Each one of our candidates will get 30 seconds. Each candidate will be able to introduce themselves, with their platform, and what are your top 3 priorities specifically as it relates to Charles County businesses? 30 minutes, and we'll start in the corner. 30 seconds. And I knew y'all would take all 30 minutes too. Natalia, you ready?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Commissioner Vice President Patterson. I am District 4 representative. I'm happy to be here as a member of the Charles County Board of Commissioners. I'm very happy to also be a Charles County resident who is is very happy to be able to serve on this board. And so for me, it's always been about education, economic development, and as well as the environment, as far as making sure that we have a county that we're proud of and a county that we can pass on to our young people.
You're good.
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela Wilkes. I'm a community organizer and an advocate and activist. I'm running for Charles County Commissioner District 3. My top 3 priorities as it pertains to businesses is to make it more affordable for businesses to operate here in the county, to close the revolving door that we have for small businesses that we see here in the county. Another priority of mine as it pertains to business is making sure that business owners, small business owners, both current and prospective business owners, are aware of the processes as it pertains to operating a business here in the county. And my third priority is diversifying the permitting process for small business owners here in the county to make it more accessible for them to operate as well.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Wade, and I'm running for District 3 Commissioner. I've spent more than 40 years serving my country and community as a soldier, federal leader, and advocate for veterans and families. I'm running to continue that service with the integrity, accountability, and commitment to responsible growth. My priorities include strong infrastructure, economic opportunities, public safety, education, so every family in District 3 can strive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diotha Sweat, and I'm running to be the next County Commissioner President. I am a 24-year veteran. I've also served as the NAACP President, so I have been in meetings and advocating for the residents of Charles County. My priorities are to ensure that small businesses have their resources, to make sure that the permitting process is affordable to our residents, and I, as a veteran, I want to make sure the veterans have their fair share.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the Charles County Chambers of Commerce for hosting this event this evening. As your commissioner, current commissioner for District 3 and running for Commissioner President, one of the things that I will continue to work on and improve is, number one, working with businesses, small and large, to ensure that the appropriate zoning is in place so they can thrive. And then also working with planning, growth, and management to ensure that the permitting process is in line, and thirdly, making sure that there's 2 divisions, big business versus small business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Tasha Sims. I've been a long time resident here of Charles County. My family roots are here in Charles County. I ran for Democratic Central Committee and been elected twice to the Central Committee. I also ran for State Senate, District 28. Now I'm running for Charles County Commissioner President. As your Commissioner President, when it comes to our small businesses, I would certainly like to make sure that our small business administration is fully funded and ready to train people as to how to get your businesses, and also to make sure that we have a livable wage and make sure our permitting and our planning and zoning process is correct here in the county.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gilbert Bowling. I am your District 1 Commissioner. It has been a pleasure to serve you over the past 2 terms. As a small business owner for the last 30 years, I feel it's important to recognize that our small businesses are the backbone of our community and making ourselves accessible to everyone in an equitable and fair way. I look forward to working with the Chamber again this next term. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Desmond Rozier. I'm born and raised here in Charles County, Maryland, a graduate of La Plata High School and a recent graduate of Howard University. I'm running to be your next commissioner here in District 1. While growing up here in Charles County, I was raised on my family's black-owned farm in District 1. And one thing that I want to emphasize is supporting small businesses and businesses alike to encourage youth to create their own path and create a stable economy here in Charles County.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Butler Walker. I am a 25-year resident of Charles County. I am a friend and a neighbor. I am a 30-year veteran of property management. I am specifically trained in infrastructure, growing sustainable communities, and I've been successful at that. I am running for just those things, to continue moving the county in a forward, moving, prosperous space. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stand because I can't see everybody. I'm Peter Murphy. I'm running for District 2 County Commissioner, and I want to thank the Chamber very much for sponsoring this tonight. There are three things. One is that the county's Economic Development Department begins to work much more closely with the Chamber and together be able to support small and larger businesses. Secondly, is that we've got to get to bring small businesses, large businesses into the county and to also keep them here. And the last is to develop our relationship with the legislator, Dr. Sam, to work with the legislative committee to get state funding. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello? All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Paulin, Mayor of the Town of Indian Head, and I'm running for Charles County Commissioner for District 2 because Charles County deserves stable leadership that delivers results. I'm a strong supporter of public education and teachers. I support small businesses and promise to streamline the permitting process on the county level like we did in Indian Head. I make every decision through the lens of affordability to ensure rising costs don't negatively affect small businesses and residents, and I will introduce accountability measures to hold elected officials accountable to the community every year, not just election years.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shamika Latte Oliver. I am a mom of 5, a wife of the last 15 years. I'm excited about that. I am running for Charles County Commissioner for District 2, for its businesses and for just our residents as a whole, accountability, mobility, and accessibility. There are businesses work for everyone. It works not just for the businesses coming in, but it works for our residents, making sure they have access, making sure they can be there.
Thank you. This next round of questions that we have, each candidate will have 1 minute. We're going to start with the Commissioner Presidents. Commissioner President candidates. Provide your proposed plan for the next 4 years, if you are elected, to improve business growth and economic development. I think you're the first. One minute. Read the question? Okay. Provide your proposed plan for the next 4 years, if you are elected, to improve business growth and economic development.
Great question, thank you. So as a Navy veteran, my first order of business is to bring attention back to the western side of the county, and that means bringing attention back to the Indian Head base and making sure that that becomes the economic artery that propels economic development within the county. If the base, the federal base, which right now has been awarded $2 to $3 billion worth of funding over the next 10 years, if we can tap into that, that will catapult small businesses around the county. If the western part of Charles County flourishes, then it will come up to Charles County. So my plan is to start with the main artery, and that main artery, as we have seen in Pax River and as we have seen in King George, Virginia, where economic development has blossomed right outside those gates of the military installation. So we must use that as the artery.
Thank you.
This morning, I had the opportunity to meet up with about 15 business owners with the Charles County, Maryland Building Association. That is an example of, as an elected official, you have a responsibility to engage and listen to concerns and talk about the needs of business owners. As a commissioner president, it would be my role to lead that conversation to ensure that business owners are able to share what's happening good in Charles County, but then also talk about where we need to make improvements. Continuing to make those investments in listening. I currently have a zoning text amendment that's going in front of the Planning Commission right now. And specifically, that zoning text amendment that I put forth, it came from me meeting with business owners, talking about how we can revitalize the northern part of Waldorf to ensure that we can bring in additional businesses. So as your commissioner president, I will continue doing that for all businesses and for residents.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. As your next Commissioner President, as regards to our businesses, I would certainly like to make sure that they have the funding, that maybe the startup capital that's needed here in the county, and also that they have the training as well to make sure their business is a longevity type of business, not a short-term business here for the county. It's going to help the county to grow. I would also like to see, I also heard that a lot of small businesses are having a hard time hiring employees because they're not properly trained, or maybe they don't have the correct pay or whatever have you. But I would like to see our businesses offer a livable wage here for the employees here in Charles County. I would also like to make sure we're ensuring workers' rights. I would certainly like to make sure we're unionizing our businesses here in the county as well. As far as our business owners, I would certainly like to make sure that you're getting the proper training, the proper funds that you need to make sure that you have longevity here in the county.
Thank you. All right, last opening question. These are for districts. We'll start with Commissioner Patterson. What are the top 3 challenges impacting Charles County businesses in your district? Do we want to pick?
Now we're back on. So, biggest challenges in District 4 are making sure that the businesses are zoned for the usages that they plan to use. A lot of times what happens is that a company or a prospective business will come and they won't know the background as to what they want to do in the zone that they want to do it in. So it's a lot of education, making sure that when you have a prospective business that comes through, that they know that they're going to be properly permitted for their usage. Also, just making sure that we attract the businesses that we want to attract, making sure that we hunt rather than fish. And I mean that by we want to create the environment for our businesses to be able to come here to Charles County, and we attract the businesses that are going to have long-term and long-lasting effects for our financial future. And so really it is a matter of just making sure that we attract what we want and we bring in the businesses with the proper usages for the zones.
Thank you. And you can start as soon as the last one finishes. You don't have to wait on her.
From speaking with small-owned business owners in Charles County Commissioner District 3, some of the main issues that I'm hearing on the ground is not being aware of all of the resources that are available and provided to business owners within the Department of Economic Development in the county. Another issue that I'm hearing from small business owners in the county, specifically in District 3, is the complication of the permitting process and ensuring that they do know what resources are available in just diversifying the permitting process to specifically tailor small-owned businesses. One of the bigger issues that I'm hearing from business owners in my district is the affordability and being able to afford the rents to keep the businesses operating sustainably, which is why I think that we should have a rent stabilization program in the county that doesn't only pertain to housing, but it also pertains to small-owned business owners so that we can close the revolving door of small-owned businesses in the county.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, hello, testing 1, 2. Okay. My first, amendment that I would like to do in my term as a District 3 is, first of all, building our brand. Charles County should be basically much more advanced than our Prince George's neighborhood. As you see there on 301, how Prince George's County is taking away our business. Once soon as you pass Wawa, they have all those businesses there, taking away the money that people will come into Charles County. We need to up our game here in Charles County. Also, my other aspect is the rapid transit. I want to get that up and going here in Charles County. That would bring in economic development and people, also that would relieve traffic, and also that would bring in money as well. And the other thing I want to bring up is definitely as what incoming Sweat has said, President Sweat has stated that the Indian Head Tech in Indian Head, that is an economic advancement that we have overlooked. And that will bring a lot of money to our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Sandman's coming out. Jeez. Okay, BJ?
Well, good evening. As far as District 1 is concerned, I can tell you over the last 8 years, one of the most challenging items that business owners face are the regulatory items from the state level. A lot of the waterfront businesses in District 1 are faced with challenges from MDE, from just the way that the state requires business be done along the water when it comes to the health department. So I can say without hesitation that is one of the biggest issues that we face. Second is business owners understanding what they can and what they can't do and who's in charge of whether it's inspecting or enforcement. A lot of folks don't understand that a lot of the regulations in place through planning and zoning are put in place through the state. And the county is merely the enforcement arm of it. And if the county doesn't enforce the laws of the state, then they can cut funding and not provide funding. So I would say that those two things, and a last one would be workforce, ensuring there's a pipeline for workers that live here, work here, are educated here, have a path towards a job, a good paying job in the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Over the past few weeks, I've had the privilege of connecting with small businesses throughout District 1. And one thing within my district is that I'm learning is that it's accessibility to information. Some businesses are asking questions of how can they receive grants, or why is their permit process so late? And so what we would have to do, and what I would ensure as a commissioner, is making sure that we have a streamline of communication for our small businesses, whether they're new to the county, local, homegrown, or minority business owners. And then also just emphasizing the lack of infrastructure within District 1, whether it's due to the traffic congestion or broadband access to internet down more rural towards the way. And I think that's something to really pay close attention to these next few years, especially as District 1 is growing. We have a lot of opportunity, a lot of smart youth, and we really should be encouraging them to work within our community to help build our economic development.
Thank you.
I've had a opportunity to spend quite a bit of time in Western Maryland. I've had the opportunity to speak to business owners there. Here's what I'll tell you that I've uncovered. They're paying $6,000 a month to rent the space that is there. That is absurd. They are renting from landlords who are not held accountable to update those structures, to make them presentable, to be built and maintained in a manner that traffic would want to come there. Another big issue is that because of that, the customer base is not where it should be. So for me, and what I have found is that there is room for some serious investigation, conversation, to certainly look at what the rent is, how are we holding landlords accountable to those small businesses to retain those small businesses.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've heard a number of things, and I think for me the most important thing is to show up, and that is to meet with the business community, which I do on a fairly regular basis, individual businesses, and they are the ones that will tell us what they need. And they're the ones that will tell us what they need, and we've heard a number of things. And so it is about information. It's about educating us, about how to use government to make a pathway so that they can establish, so they can be successful, and that we can retain them. That's the job of government. And we can do that by connecting our economic development department. I also heard about workforce development. We've got to be able to partner with the College of Southern Maryland, bring all of those people together. But the most important thing is to show up, be out there every day, work with the business community, take that information back to the government, and be able to form a way and give a pathway so that they can meet all of those things. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I'll get it really close. The three things that I hear from businesses in my district is we need to streamline the permitting process. Too often, small businesses are getting caught in red tape that is cost prohibitive. We were able to streamline the process in the town of Indian Head and make it easier for small businesses to open. We need to do that countywide. All right, we need to be there for our small businesses. The second thing, we need to develop more partnerships. In Indian Head, we're able to work with the Indian Head Military Alliance Council and the Indian Head Navy Base to grow economic development within the town. We should be doing that at a larger Charles County level. Partnerships are the key. We don't have to do all the work. There are organizations like the Chamber that are willing to help us out in those efforts. And the third thing, in District 2, outside of Indian Head, the zoning is prohibitive for small businesses to open. All right, we need to address the zoning to make sure that businesses can open in District 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you ever walked in somebody's shoes? I have. Very recently. And I've sat there and I've cried with the residents just as well. I'm a resident in Indian Head. And I went in and I talked to the business owner, the beauty supply that's over there. And I asked him, what are your challenges? And he said, I'm struggling. And then I went to talk to other businesses over there. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what's going on. They need help. What do we need? The challenges is business, business, business. The Dollar General is gone. And the business owner said he doesn't get any traffic anymore. The money is not coming in there. And when I listen to the comprehensive plan, I see nothing coming to Indian Head. I see a possibility, and that's not good enough.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. And just as my first comment to all the candidates, I think by the large number of people in attendance, you can understand the importance of economic development, of having a thriving business community over the next 4 years. And I'm glad we're able to ask these questions. Here we are in first round. We'll follow a similar format with 1 minute to respond to each question. So we'll start again with the Commissioner Presidents. I want to touch on the recent settlement of a lawsuit involving a county administrator. I don't want to certainly delve into any of the details on that. I think it's important we take a minute to discuss how, as Commissioner President, you'll make sure such a damaging situation doesn't occur again in the next term of the county commissioners.
That is a very good question, because that particular lawsuit has caused the residents and the taxpayers a lot of money. And that is because of lack of leadership. Leadership should make sure that the decisions that are made do not affect the people that they serve. And so when decisions are made, there should be legal ramifications. And so this current Board of County Commissioners had other options. And they chose to use the option that cost taxpayers millions of dollars. As the county commissioner president, I will never put our residents in a position where we are throwing money out of the window and we will never get a return on investment. Not only did we have a lawsuit, but we will be paying for years to come. There was no thought process on what this looked like long term. And as county president, I will make sure I do that.
There was several options that we could have taken, and Commissioner Bolin and I, we tried, but our colleagues voted us down. We had a responsibility to protect all employees regarding the discrimination that occurred, that the courts have confirmed occurred not just for one employee. You've only seen one report. if and when the second report, which should be released, you'll see that it was multiple employees with multiple races. As Commissioner President, that would have never occurred if I had been president then. Our current Commissioner President took a route that he knew would be costly. That was his choice, and that was my other colleagues. It was their choice. The commissioner in question was put on notice of the behavior early on, but it continued. As Commissioner President, it is important to ensure that the board responds appropriately. And yes, because of the role and the responsibility of the Commissioner President, this could have been avoided. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. As your next Commissioner President, well, first of all, in regard to that situation, that's a very intricate situation, an intricate matter. I do not feel that we, as taxpayers, should not have to pay for that burden of that situation. I wish it could have been handled in a much better way. But as your Commissioner President, I would certainly make sure that we have continuity between the employees, city government employees here, and elected officials here across the county. I would certainly make sure that we have a work environment that's conducive to the employees, conducive to the elected officials, also conducive to our citizens here and our taxpayers here in Charles County. We have to set a precedent that when we're working, we work together. No matter your personal differences or whatever it may be, when you come through those government doors, it's time to get to work for the people of Charles County. You can leave all your personal things behind, but once you come through that door, it's time to get to work for the people of Charles County. And as your next Commissioner President, that will be my goal, and that will be my aim. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move into the district races. Why don't we start this time with District 1? Commissioner Bowling, if you'll go first. As chamber members, we hear that voters and businesses, that planning and growth management processes are difficult. They're difficult to navigate. They're time consuming. They create financial hardship for our businesses. Newly approved growth, both residential and commercial, has seen a sharp decrease over the past 3 years, but the number of staff in PGM has increased. So what reforms will you implement to make this department more efficient and more business friendly over the next term?
Well, I appreciate the question. You know, I routinely, and as I stated before, I've been in business for 30 years, my family for longer than that. I'm on the phone with business owners every day that are calling me about permitting challenges they're facing. And what I do as a commissioner is I will call up or meet with our planning and growth management staff. They have a system in place that tracks every contact they've had with an applicant or their representative. And I would say probably 90% of the time, there are situations where, whether it's engineers or someone in the middle between the client that's actually putting the business in and the county that is holding it up. And I can tell you that I'm not saying the county is not without fault, but a lot of the regulations in place are state regulations that we simply have to enforce. Now, we can always do better educating the citizens about what are the things in place, but I had one today where I was talking with a business owner through it, and there's a process with a DNR process that's slowing it up and making it go back. So what would I do? We can always do better of educating. I'm always open. I show up, and if people call, I work on answers for them. So thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. It has to do with planning and growth management process, which are difficult to navigate and time consuming and creating financial hardship for businesses. So what reforms will you implement to make PGM more efficient and more business friendly?
All right, thank you. So the first thing that I would do, again, I really believe education is the most important thing. A lot of people, everyone, has a passion. And for those coming into the business world, they want to succeed in the best way that they can. So what we have to do is form relationships with business owners, to the local government, to the state government. And we have to do our job as anticipated county commissioners in bridging that gap. If we know that the issues are coming from the state, then we have to figure out how can we provide the solutions and guarantees for our business owners to succeed. And then again, we need to mentorship. We can't just get them to the first step and not get them to the second step. We need to ensure that we can get them from the start of the line to the finish line. And I really do believe in consistency and staying in contact with our businesses, because we can't start a project and not finish it, and a business can't succeed without the help from mentorship.
I believe that this is a problem that is easily solved. The first thing that I want to start with is the big elephant in the room.
Why are we depending on what the state wants us to do? Why is that a part of the process? The other is, do we have qualified team members that are in that particular organization to make sure that it is operating efficiently and effectively? Is it streamlined the way that it is supposed to? Are we making sure that everyone has easy accessibility to be able to be successful when going through the process? So this is simply about what we're doing as a government, what we're doing as a commission to make sure that what we have to serve Charles County residents are available, amenable, accessible, and transparent. Do we understand the process?
Okay. Thank you all. Next question is for our candidates from District 2. And now we have a different question for District 2.
So does that mean I have twice?
Sure, please. The question for District 1 was what we're moving on to, right. You answered the question for District 1. Now we have District, right. Okay. All right. District 2. Important issue that's going to come before the next Board of Commissioners is the adoption of a new and updated comprehensive plan. But in the last comprehensive plan adopted by Charles County, many property owners in District 2 and business owners saw their property values decrease because of the result of the downzoning that was undertaken under the last comprehensive plan. Will you vote to reverse that land use decision in the adoption of the next comprehensive plan? And please explain why or why not.
Thank you. I'm going to just make one comment here that relates to all of that, and that is that we're talking a lot about PGM and the staff. I want to tell you that when I was in office before, the employees of Charles County who run this, they do a good job. They work real hard to do that. So we need to give them credit for doing that. And that leads in, it's a segue into the comprehensive plan. I've been going to all of the meetings of the comprehensive plan, reading what people are wanting to do. And that's where it starts. And it's got to be a plan of integrity. It's got to be one that when it comes back to the county, that the county listens to what the people have said they want. And we're yet to get that because we haven't gone through all of them yet. That's the first step. When that comes through and gets digested, it's up to the Board of County Commissioners to be able to look at that and consolidate all of those things. In terms of the comprehensive plan, as you know, it comes up every 10 years. I think you may be referring to the WCD as part of that. I do believe that's something that needs to be revisited periodically as well. Thank you.
Yes, I look at land use decisions that happen under previous administrations, and I hear from residents. I hear from residents in Marbury, like an older gentleman that's not able to age in his home. The gentleman had a handicap ramp installed on the front of his home, but can't widen his sidewalk to the 4 feet to meet that handicap ramp to take it to his driveway because of impervious surface limits that are implemented on the zoning category. All right, I look at another woman in Smallwood Estates who bought 2 lots for her and her family so she can age in place. But she can't anymore because of the requirements in the restrictive zoning that is taking place in the District 2 side of the county. I mean, we mentioned, the equity that was taken away with the WCD from thousands of property owners on our side of the county. Equity taken away from thousands of property owners. It's horrible and it needs to be readdressed.
Yes, if I had to change something, I would change it. And I think that it needs to be so. One of the things that I think that needs to be done is to educate our residents. We go up and we do public forums and we say we want this and we want this and we want that, but what we don't know is that the comprehensive plan was planned 10 years ago and it's about to end in 2026. And then coming this month, there's another plan for 2027 that's about to happen. Are our voices really getting heard? Yes, we need to change. I walk up to the residents from a young lady from 1970. She got her house in 1970, and now she's like, the streets aren't the same. I used to be able to root and rally for how Maryland is, but where I live, nothing's changing. It's broken. Yes, I will change it. Yes, we have to change it because we're not living in 10 years ago. We're living in now, and what we are facing right now, it has to change because 10 years ago is not going to work for now. And guess what? The comprehensive plan now is for the next 10 to 20 years.
Thank you. We'll move on to a different question now for Commissioner Districts 3 and 4. And those districts represent are designed to represent largely the Waldorf and the northern tier of the county. Infrastructure in general, traffic congestion in particular, is the most important concern, not just of residents of that area, but of business owners. Yet in the past 30 years, the county has removed funding for a lot of road construction, including the Waldorf Bypass, the Cross County Connector, and the extension of the Western Parkway has been delayed. So planned improvements like light rail are long-term, meant to address traffic congestion, but that's a long-term, not a short-term solution. So what is your solution for businesses and residents that are sitting in traffic today? Mr. Patterson?
Good evening. I unfortunately am one of those people that has to travel outside the county. So for me, it's always about giving people. All right, that's better. So once again, I'm one of those unfortunate people that has to go out of the county to work. And so for me, it's always about giving people options. We used to have the W-19. We have March buses that take us from the county all the way to different locations in the DMV area. But we have to make sure that we have variety of transportation in the county. Glad that we have the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit. I know that we are going to be completing the last portion of the Western Parkway in District in Waldorf, and so these are the things that we have to really be very conscious about. Finishing projects that were started long time ago, but making sure that we have a clear idea of what we want to do in the time that we're given as commissioners. It shouldn't be something that should be a 10-year, 20-year project. This is something that when you put the board's mind and mindset together, it can be done and accomplished in a very short amount of time. But that only comes with a coherent board that is like-minded in moving the county forward.
One of the things that I support with regards to alleviating the traffic concerns in the district is strengthening and making our public transportation system that we already have in place, Van Gogh, and making it more reliable. Right now, Van Gogh is free at the point of service. What we need to do is do a complete overhaul of the public transportation system that we currently have, and have that include commuter transmit as well. But what some of the other candidates might not want to admit is that traffic is beyond the control of the Charles County Commissioners alone. It's going to cost coalition building and community conversations with connecting communities like Prince George's County, and as well as even as far as Virginia, to alleviate the traffic concerns. Because like we've already spoken about, we have the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit that's coming. But in the short term, we have to have community conversations with our leaderships that are our neighbors, to talk about how can we make the traffic situation go away, not just for Charles Countyans, but Prince Georgians as well.
Thank you. Traffic is one of the most important things that we need to have here in Charles County. Unfortunately, we just need to work on that rapid system, as I said earlier, and also our transportation using the bus lines going back and forth to DC and so forth. Now, my thought process is regarding 301, the intersections. How many people have actually tried to cross 301 from where the Lowe's is going to Wawa, to Waldorf? I saw a lady in a wheelchair trying to cross. There is no crosswalk to go across. That is not taking care of the pedestrians. It's start to turn summertime, and kids are going to be riding their bicycles up and down the roads going to their summer jobs. Now, as far as traffic, we need to look at, do the studies. It's called traffic impact studies to determine where the most of the traffic is going back and forth. There's a lot of different. It turned me off.
Thank you. So we're now moving into round two. This first question is going to be for our Commissioner Presidents. Since 1990, Charles County has grown to become one of the wealthiest counties in America, and the education level of our residents has improved. So has Charles County grown well? And if not, this is a question, has Charles County grown well? And if not, how can growth in Charles County be managed better? Start with Sweat.
Very good question. So has Charles County grown well? No, it has not. It has grown too fast, too quick, and leadership has not been able to keep up with that. We must go back to the drawing board and figure out how do we bring in our businesses, our other agencies, the school systems, and our law enforcement agencies to see where we can combat where we have dropped the ball. The growth in Waldorf alone, I moved here in 2008, and I can tell where I live now, my house where I live now was not here when I moved in 2008. The traffic is atrocious. Infrastructure, traffic is not a number one priority in the county. We talk about it, but it's not a priority. We can do simple incremental changes for traffic in Charles County, making sure that we're syncing up lights, making sure we have roundabouts and things like that.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Since 1990, Charles County has grown to become one of the wealthiest counties in America, and the education level of our residents has improved. Do you think that Charles County has grown well? If not, how can growth in Charles County be managed better?
Thank you for the question. Well, I've lived here since the 80s, 1980s, 86, 87. And I have definitely seen Charles County grow. When I moved here, they were just building the Heckinger Shopping Center. So if you haven't lived here that long, you have no idea probably what I'm talking about. We can do better. The issue about transportation, a lot of that has to do with the state roads. Transportation is a priority. We meet with our state partners every year, throughout the year, advocating for Charles County, not just Charles County, but Southern Maryland, to get our roads improved. I made a statement before, it's not this administration, it's all administrations, and I understand their rationale, I just don't agree with it. They treat us like the stepchildren of the state. We do not get our fair funding to ensure that our projects for transportation are set up for improvement.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. It's Tasha Sims here. As your next Commissioner President, we talk about education and growth here in the county. Well, first of all, it's not really compatible with one another. As we grow here in the county, we need to make sure that we have, whether it's developers, big business, whatever have you, actually putting into our education. I would like for us to have an education fund here. So as we're growing as a community, we're going to need more schools, we're going to need more infrastructure and things along that nature. So as we build and as we grow, we need to think about smart growth here in the county, not totally stripping our lands. There's ways to build to be the smart way, to be economically, environmentally smart, environmentally friendly, and smart growth here in the county. As we grow as a county, our educational needs are going to grow. So we have to find ways to make sure that we're able to support our educational system here in the county, because that's what makes the county grow. That's what keeps the county together. Education is a very important part of the county, but also we need to grow smart here in the county as well.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to speed things up a little bit. Have some fun. You ready? I know. Okay, so we're going to have a rapid fire round. You have 10 seconds to answer these questions. The first, 10 seconds. The first round is going to be for all candidates. Don't wait for the nod. We're just going to keep going. She's going to use the bell. Okay? No, we've got 3. So we'll reverse it on this one. You ready? Okay, we're starting with you. Rapid fire. What locally owned small businesses have you supported in the past month, including purchases? 3.
I have supported Food Lion in my district. I go to Food Lion every single day. I'm a mom of 5. We got to feed our family. We got a family of 7.
Small business.
Small business. I also went to the
Okay, next up, Brandon.
community outreach.
Okay, today, Clarity Coffee House, Oasis, Muscle House and Fitness, and Obo's Pizza. And that's just today.
Okay, Brandon, let's go.
Thank you. MedSearch Pharmacy up in Bryan's Road. Also, Honey Buns Cake in Bryan's Road as well.
Yep, honey bun cake. I've been to the coffee house, and I've also been to Burners, if you know about Burners.
For me, Latte Taker, Donut Connection, and Benny Sub Shop.
Hancock Family Farms, Green Turtle in the Plata, and there's a theme here, and La Tateca in the Plata.
All right.
Yes, for me, it would be, oh wow, I said it name. Oh, it would be Hanson Pharmacy. That's where I get my prescriptions from, the black-owned pharmacy in Pinefield. Also, the thrift store there, I like to go there sometimes and shop around.
We gotta pass it. 10 seconds.
I think you're saying the last week. The last week.
The last month.
I think
Yeah.
the best small businesses that I've supported in the last month is like the farmers market. We went to some of the farms and buying like plants and fruits and vegetables. So that's the best.
Cup of Sugar, Selby's Grab and Go, Oasis, Coffee and Indian Head, and Hancock.
Farmers Market in La Plata.
Cup of Sugar, El Rinconcito, the World International Market on 301 Highway, Abuja African Market, Story, for those who know. And
thank you.
All right. Midori Restaurant, best sushi in Charles County. Silver Skewer, best Persian in Charles County. My man Miles Davis, I just ordered a hoodie. He's a 2024 graduate, and of course, Belino Photography.
Wonderful. Okay, we're gonna keep with the rapid fire, but we're gonna split them up by district. It's 10 seconds for this one, right? Yeah. All right, this is District 1 and 2, so it's everybody on my left-hand side. Question, what would you do to provide resources to businesses that are disproportionately affected by the cancellation of DE&I? Women, minority, veterans, disabled, and non-native English speakers.
That's gonna be hard. Well, we already did it. We didn't take it away.
No.
We bucked the president.
So, wait,
and we
stop
kept
one
it
second. You want to give them 30 seconds? Okay, 30, go.
So we didn't follow the executive order from the president as the Board of Commissioners. We kept our policy in place, so we're making sure that we ensure this continues to impact our community in a positive way.
I would say make sure that those are educated, staying involved, and always having a seat at the table. Like Commissioner Bowling said, Charles County's done a well job supporting minority businesses, and we got to continue doing that, but also encourage our neighbors and other state officials to make sure that people are supported.
the state is working very hard with the Plumbers Poverty program that is allowing homeowners who are having well issues and needing restoration of their plumbing to be fixed, as well as making sure that there is grant money that is set aside for families to be able to have a resource so we can start with some of that 40% recordation tax.
Thank you. I think that Commissioner Bowling certainly touched on that to continue that, but I think the other thing too is to continue to talk to small businesses and find out what resources they need. County government has standing. So we have standing with the state. We have standing with our board of, with our college and so forth. And I think our obligation and responsibility is to listen to them, find out what resources they need, and make sure that we have a process in place that makes it possible and easy for them to have access to those resources.
Thank you.
All right, 30 seconds. I'm not going to stand. I would leverage the EDD team to get businesses to financing options. All right. So often the limit to what small businesses can do is the access to financing. So use the EDD team, make sure they are aware of all the grants that are available, and we partner with those businesses to get the money. Leverage that same team to get them in front of local banks, make sure they understand all the financing options available, and then look into micro grants at a county level to make sure these businesses stay open.
Thank you.
I will make sure they have accessibility to what we are offering in Charles County. Charles County does offer a lot of things, but I see that a lot of it is being offered in the area of Waldorf. When I talk to those who are in District 2, they're asking for the help. So one of the things that I had did was just volunteer my help. Those are the small businesses that I did go to. How can I serve you? Because if it's not happening at a larger level, how do we help each other within the community? And then make sure that we're getting the resources to them or asking our government, how can we bring it to our community?
Thank you. Okay, Districts 3 and 4, 30 seconds. Besides attending a ribbon cutting, mixer, or other event, name one concrete action you have taken for small businesses.
One concrete action that I've taken for small businesses is hosting community events there and encouraging other people to patronize those businesses, and also emphasizing and creating more visibility for those small-owned businesses here in the county.
Thank you.
Well, for me, my thought process is supporting small businesses is being in the, I guess currently being the member of CVA. And on the tomorrow, we're having job fair at the South Potomac Church. And currently we have over 500 people attending, looking for jobs and resources. So I've been involved in community outreach programs, supporting our veterans and their families here in Charles County. Thank you.
Appreciate it. So for me, it's about supporting the BGAP program. A lot of people haven't heard of the BGAP program, but the Business Growth Accelerator Program is one of those programs that is, for its dollar for dollar, it's probably the biggest bang for the buck in this county, because all it does is promote businesses. It helps tutor, it helps educate, and it helps inform other businesses of what's available in the county, as well as making sure that they have the support once they get themselves established, as well as financial support from the county. So for me, it's about making sure in the budget we always have money for the BGAP program.
Okay, welcome to round 3, but this question is going to be to everybody here, I think, because everybody here, once you hear the topic, going to understand why it's important. We need to hear from all the candidates. Maybe this time, Ms. Sims, we'll start with you. And the question has to do with data centers. So, do you support creating zoning for data centers in Charles County? Please say yes or no and explain why or why not. 30 seconds. Do you support creating zoning for data centers in Charles County? Yes or no, and why or why not? 30 seconds.
No, I am definitely a strong advocate against data centers here in Charles County as it's currently proposed. I do feel it's a much better way to do business here in Charles County, a much better way to grow revenue here in Charles County. I certainly do not want to see a data center on the Potomac River. I feel we could have much better use of that space. It's waterfront prime realty. I would certainly not like to see that space used for data centers.
With respect to the current conversation about data centers, one of the things that I feel strongly about is, as an elected official, you must put zoning in place to protect our environment and our residents and our way of life. So I would not agree for data centers to go in residential areas or near residential areas, near schools. I've already made that clear. They must be closed systems. They must use gray water. It's definitely important to recognize the requirements and the laws that's going to come out from the state and make sure we put things in place to protect our county specifically.
In regards to data centers, if we have the governance that is common sense governance for Charles County, if we have the infrastructure readiness that's required for data centers, and if it's a positive impact for Charles County, then it's yes. If it doesn't meet those 3 criteria, then it would be no.
I want to stand for this. Now, my thought process regarding the data center I don't agree or disagree. What I want to do is I want to put it on as a referendum on the ballot. The same way that it was voted for charter, I want to leave it up to the people, not to the commissioners. The people should have their voice heard when we discuss about the data center, meaning that all those people who are hiding behind the curtain saying they want it and don't want it, they have to come out and show themselves who they really are and what they really want. So we leave it to the people to let you decide what you want to do in this county. Because 10, 20, 30 years ago, you can't blame it on the commissioners, it's on the people. Thank you.
I'm going to stand for this as well. I say no to data centers. What we do know is that every single where that data centers exist in this country, they extract wealth and resources from the communities that they benefit from, and they do not positively impact those communities. What we do know is that in the state of Maryland, data centers, as long as they're in opportunity zones, are tax exempt from Maryland state taxes, meaning that property tax will not come into our communities. We won't see that money. It's not guaranteed that those jobs, that data centers are gonna come to people who live in this county, and we know that energy costs are already exorbitantly high, and they're high right now because of data centers that exist outside of Charles County.
Thank you. So, my answer is yes, with making sure that we have the proper guardrails around it. Data centers are here to stay. There is no way we're going back to 2002 or whatever it was. We need to make sure that we have the proper guardrails around it. We don't allow them to do what they do in all these horror stories that you read on the internet. You make sure that you take the lessons learned from places like Loudoun, places like Frederick County. You implement that, what they're going on in there, and then that way we can benefit from it, but not have the ramifications of water going dry and all these other things that people read about on the internet.
I'm neither for nor against data centers. I've looked at it at two different sides. Is that if it works, then there has to be policies, procedures in place that do not injure and affect the residents, right, when they come in. And they have to fully support themselves and not take our tax dollars to be able to support it. Also, our data centers really for us. When I looked at it, we don't even have the infrastructure for it. I feel like it's such a distraction. And will our residents be able to get the jobs? Probably no.
Data centers need proper regulation. We need to ensure that there isn't an infrastructure drain that's costly to the residents' utility rates. I mentioned affordability in my opening statement. It's because I mean it, okay? We have to make sure that Charles County remains affordable for everyone. So if we can ensure that there isn't an infrastructure drain that's costly to the residents' utility rates, then possible. Also, electricity and water don't know jurisdictional bounds, okay? They do not know, all right? Water does not know where the Charles County line is, all right? So we have to address these issues so we can continue to look at this topic.
Thank you. We're fortunate because Charles County has not yet made that decision. We can learn from everyone else. Data centers are not ready for prime time here. You're hearing folks talk about all the issues related to that. Before we would ever go forward to that, we have to make absolutely sure that everything is in place, that we benefit from this much more so than the folks that are coming here. So it is today. I would not support that. I think you'd be very dangerous to start doing zoning amendments and changes until we know what we're getting into. Thank you.
If your electric bill has gone up, just kind of raise your hand. If your electric bill has gone up, it's because the data centers and data alley is pulling 94% off of the grid that we're sharing with 13 states in Washington, D.C. We do not have the infrastructure for data centers, and I will tell you that I've written a letter to the state of Maryland through the People's Council asking for a refund for all of Charles County because we do not have a data center, and you can find that on my website.
All right, raise your hand if you have a phone in your pocket. All right, whether you like it or not, we're using data centers every day, but we do not have those in our community yet, so we have to protect and be proactive and not reactive. I do not support the sneaking in of data centers like Morgantown and Terrawolf without having community engagement and responses. I do not support the zoning text amendment that went through and got away without community involvement. We need to work with our state and federal officials to ensure that community interests are put first and the money is coming in within our community, our schools.
Thank you. As stated, when I tried to pull this zoning text amendment, I don't support it as it current is. I think we need to follow the science, and if the science and the people tell us they don't want it, then we don't put it in. At the end of the day, we have to trust the experts, and you have to show up to work, and you have to put in the effort. That means meeting with SMECO and our power distributors, understanding the difference between generating power and distributing it. So I think informed elected officials that make decisions for the best interest of the community, not special interest. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving right on into round 4. All right, this first group of questions will be just the first question will be for the Commissioner President candidates. We'll start with you, Ms. Sims. How will you balance community development and land use with ensuring that zoning laws do not disproportionately restrict small, minority-owned, or legacy businesses?
Community development and land use. First of all, make sure that we have our planning and zoning is correct when it comes to where we're placing our businesses, when it comes to our communities. But also, I would certainly like to see our land use provided to our communities that will create recreational spaces, will create safe spaces for our community, and also environmentally friendly spaces for our community as well when we talk about land use.
Thank you. And these are 30-second questions. You're fine. Absolutely. How will you balance community development and land use with ensuring that zoning laws do not disproportionately restrict small, minority-owned, or legacy businesses?
Okay, thank you. One of the things that's important, especially as we go through the comprehensive plan, is to make sure that any zoning changes, restrictive or small, more restrictive or not, to make sure that there's a legacy clause so that current businesses are not affected. That is one way. Another thing that you have to do is you have to plan for the future. So look at the infrastructure where you have the water and sewer and plan out and make changes with the comprehensive plan to address the needs of the county, not just in Waldorf, but the entire county.
Thank you.
Very good question. First and foremost, I would make sure that the Board of County Commissioners, the Economic Development Department, and the Chamber of Commerce is in the room together to make sure that we are addressing the needs of all aspects of economic development. The Chamber of Commerce would be able to tell us how the plan that we are proposing, how it will affect the small businesses and large businesses in the county. So without adding the necessary subject matter experts to the table, we will always be making decisions in the blind.
Thank you. All right, we're moving into the district questions. 30 seconds. We'll start. I'll go in reverse. We'll go with District 3. How will you address Charles County's aging infrastructure, roads, water, and sewer, and modernize outdated zoning regulations, including your timeline and how you will ensure include your timeline, and how will you ensure small businesses are included in the process?
Again, I would think that working with the Chamber of Commerce to be informed with the businesses here in Charles County, also with the old I guess roads and so forth and so on, that would be working with the PGM and developing, doing inspections and so forth regarding how we can improve upon the infrastructure that we have here in Charles County. Now, for the other things and so forth, I think that working together with the community, I think we can figure out a way to work together. Thank you.
I support working with our state legislators to improve county and state roads here in Charles County when we talk about the aging infrastructure. I also think we need to look at the tax rates in which bigger businesses are paying the same tax rates as smaller owned businesses. Big owned businesses here in the county should be paying their fair share to help improve our infrastructure while they're also profiting off of the economy here in the county.
Can you read your question one more time, please?
How will you address Charles County's aging infrastructure, roads, water, and sewer, and modernize outdated zoning regulations. Include your timeline and how you will ensure small businesses are included in the process.
Absolutely. So addressing our aging infrastructure is going to be a comprehensive plan that is going to need the entire Board of Commissioners. And so as in District 4, I would make sure that we have the adequate input and buy-in from the community as far as what those upgrades are going to look like. A lot of times we don't reach out to the business community until after we've made the decision or at the near end of the decision-making process. That part needs to change dramatically. And so with that, I think bringing us along as partners rather than big brother telling little brother what to do is going to be the best course of action to make sure we get our construction taken care of.
Thank you. This next question is going to be for Districts 1 and 2. How will you work with state representatives to ensure Charles County business owners have access to available information about economic development resources and training in a timely fashion? I'll start.
Well, I think over the last 2 terms, I've had town halls just about, probably in the 30s and 40s of town halls over the last 7 years. A lot of people have been invited to share information, whether it's our state partners or some state agencies, MDE, MDA, Department of Commerce. I think showing up's a big part of that and bringing them to the table. At the end of the day, relaying our concerns when there's constituent services that need assistance from the state level, we advocate. When we go to their annual evening event over legislation, we express our needs. Now, whether the state follows through with those needs, that's a different story.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How will you work with state representatives to ensure Charles County business owners have access to available information about economic development resources and training in a timely fashion?
Thank you. One thing that I would do is to ensure that relationships are being made. We have a job to do as a county commission, and that is to make sure that relationships are positive. We can't push away our state officials and not work with them because there are businesses and there's people in the community who are relying on us. So that means that we must work at getting the information to the community and getting the community to Annapolis. And we have to bridge that gap and make sure that people have access to that information firsthand, whether it's attending district nights or connecting with other counties, connecting with other state officials and understanding what they're doing to succeed.
I'm certain, based on what I do for a living and because I have to be in Annapolis before session begins, during session, and after, I think that the responsible thing for me would be to do is to get the right legislatures here in Charles County, here in District 2, because we have to be able to have the opportunity to communicate exactly what it is we're trying to accomplish. What is the time frame in which we need it? And then we need to bring them back for an update after session to find out exactly what happened. Did you do it? Why didn't it happen? So the more that we are asking, the more that I think that we will be able to get from that experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that one of the things that I bring to this position is, having been in Annapolis, I understand how that process works. And I think the county commissioner can be a conduit between the Chamber of Commerce and our state legislators. Right now, the State Chamber of Commerce has 2 pieces of legislation that they don't support. One, it's not going anywhere, it's still in committee. The other's on 3rd reading. That would have a great impact on our small businesses. But as a county commissioner, I'll be able to work with the chamber to make sure that that communication goes back and forth. Can we follow that piece of legislation? Thank you.
Partnerships are essential to deliver results. In Indian Head, we brought Oasis Grocery Store, Indian Head's first grocery store since 1999. All right? Doing so, we had partnerships with organizations like the Department of Housing and Community Development, the Department of Agriculture, the Military Alliance Council, the town, and federal and state delegates. All right? Those relationships have to translate into partnerships to deliver results for the community. It's not enough to say, I know you. All right? You have to step out of that box and say, how can we partner to get things done in our communities?
Thank you.
If we are doing it for the residents, then we need to show up for the residents. As commissioners, I feel like we should have a QR code on us. This is how you get things done. That we need to take the information, have the town halls, connect with our state representatives, and get on their nerves until they show up and until we get answers for the things that we need. We have to be very proactive and not sit back and just allow things to happen, because our residents, our businesses are saying in District 2 that they feel left out.
Thank you. We'll move on to round 5. This will be the last round before we go to final closing statements by the candidates. But let's start this round with our commissioner president candidates. A longtime resident of Charles County, I have many friends who've been longtime residents of Charles County, and they often point to a common problem: that our children graduate high school here from very good high schools. They go to college, but when they're done college, they go elsewhere to find jobs and economic opportunity. In addition, the members of our chamber and many other businesses, large and small, cite the lack of housing and in particular the lack of affordable housing as an issue affecting workforce development and retention here in Charles County. So, Commissioner Presidents, if you would explain your definition of affordable housing and how you would shape county policy to incentivize it.
Well, as your next Commissioner President, when you talk about affordability, that's once again subjective depending on who you are. Because affordable to one is not affordable to another. So we have to look at what we mean when we talk about affordability and kind of phase that, put it on the stage when you talk about what you can afford. Because those in the elderly community, this disabled community, certainly cannot afford a high cost of rent. So I would certainly like to see some kind of subsidized programs to help assist those who are lower income level, and certainly on the higher income, to help with home ownership and rental assistance as well.
This is a great question. I'm so excited. I'm working with a few developers, residential, offering products to the county that people can purchase, but it's not in your typical range that we typically have here in Charles County. Just like the meeting I was at this morning, I told them, if I'm elected Commissioner President, I want to continue bringing different products to the county. Affordability is different, right? But we should have price ranges for everyone who wants to build a house. That's what affordable looks like, and I'm excited that I'm bringing some products to the county.
Charles County has been talking about affordable housing for more than a decade, of how we can make sure that all of our residents can live, work, and sleep here. And very, very recently, there was a lot of back and forth conversation about affordable housing and the tiers and how we would address this. And even in that conversation, we were not addressing the workforces that we have here in Charles County, our retail workers and our entry-level workers. We must provide housing that is accommodating to all residents, and we must make it a priority. It shouldn't be a second thought.
All right, I think we'll do the last question before we go to final statements. We'll start with you, Commissioner Bowling. As a Chamber of Commerce, the greatest thing that I think many of our members take pride in, not just being a small business owner, but creating payroll, and making payroll, and making sure the employees of those businesses get paid. That's a constant worry, and it's a constant challenge. So as the last question, 30 seconds, tell us what experience, if any, you have running a business, and how you're going to apply that as to your job as County Commissioner.
Well, I appreciate the question. So my family has owned a business in the county for, Lord, probably 80 years. I've owned my own business for probably about 30. I had a second business that I closed down when I came back to the farm full time. So I know what it's like to receive a check and write a check. I know what it's like not to take a paycheck to build your business up, to invest every dime you have into your business. So what will I bring to the table? That knowledge and understanding, that life experience. Not commissioner experience, life experience. So that's what I'll bring to the table.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Describe what experience. Sorry, turn up my mic. Describe what experience you have of running a small business, and you'll bring that knowledge and what you learned to your job as County Commissioner.
All right, thank you. So I am not a business owner, but I did attend at HBCU. I attended Howard University, and one thing HBCU culture has is every student needs to survive. So what do? They create their own business. I have line brothers and friends who created their own businesses, and I support it. But on a county level, when it comes to businesses and payroll, I worked through COVID. I was an essential worker. I really do believe the county needs to establish some type of emergency fund for small businesses to ensure that their employees can be successful and healthy in case of emergencies.
That's a great question. I believe that there is partnership here because we have a business like we do in the western part of Charles County. The bakery has other needs, right? So the bakery has to have flour. The bakery has to have milk. If we can make sure that businesses are partnering and communicating and making sure that there are other businesses that can support them with the things that they need, then it all makes sense, right? So we're all working together. We're all feeding the payroll because everybody has a hand in the success of the overall business that's being had.
Thank you. I've owned 2 small businesses. A number of years ago, I owned a small furniture store, and then more recently, in the last several years anyway, I was a consulting firm. And so one of the things when you're in business is you start out with a dream and you want it to work. So I certainly understand what it's like to put in 12, 14, 15 hours a day to make a business work. But I also know what it means to develop relationships with other business members. So you join clubs like the Rotary. I joined the Rotary at that time, and so forth, to be able to help you be successful. And together, that's what makes those small businesses work, including county government. Thank you.
Over the last 10 years, I've worked diligently as the mayor. All right, we have limited resources, all right, but we've been able to get the job done. We've been able to deliver results despite our limited resources. On my professional side, I work as a project manager for a small nonprofit based here in Charles County that works closely with Charles County's largest employer, NSWC Indian Head. All right, I see firsthand all of the businesses in Indian Head. They're crunching their budgets as power continues to go up and costs continue to go up. All right, we're addressing affordability. We have to support our small businesses long term. All right, and make simple solutions that they can run with.
I've been an entrepreneur since 2001. I'm a servant leader. I have hired individuals, and I didn't just pay them what minimum wage was. I paid them their worth and their value and things that were going on in the industry. I have a business right now where we make sure that we give visibility to others who need that type of visibility and what they can afford. We customize plans for them so that they can afford the things that they need. And if they can't, we have donated or served with our own hands to help them succeed.
Good afternoon. So I was once a CEO of a very small property management company during the early 2000s, during the housing boom. And it was stressful just because you didn't know what was going to happen. And for me, it was always about, I needed more education and I needed more support. And that's what I know that our business community needs, and more than anything else, is because when you don't have those 2 things in place, you're set up for failure. And so for me, it's always going to be about making sure that our small businesses feel supported and they're informed as to what's going on.
I don't have experience with being a small business owner or a business owner at all, but what I do have is lived experience of being directly impacted by policy and understanding how it can be a struggle sometimes to make ends meet, whether that's making payroll or paying a light bill. While COVID-19 and the pandemic was very tragic and traumatic for a lot of us, it showed us the length which our county and state government can go to protect people in our communities. I think we should have never gotten rid of the emergency preparedness funds that were allowed and able to give to small-owned businesses, and I think that that should be something that we should expand upon and bring back again and keep it.
Thank you. I haven't been a business owner, but I was a contract officer representative for over $1 million, responsible for $1 million for at least 15 employees. But my job was making sure that the contractors and employees were paid in a timely manner, and also working with people to resolve their conflict resolutions. And that's what I would bring here to Charles County, is my experience that I have speaking with people and dealing with contracts and also trying to support their businesses.
So I don't have a small owned business. I have what I call as a side hustle. I have ATMs. I'm an ATM lady. But what I am is a mom that supports her son, who is an entrepreneur and has his own business. And what I do with him is I mentor him. I help him find resources. I make sure that he has the necessary training, that he can make sure that his parts and supplies are where they need to be. So I don't have my own business, but I am investing in the legacy of my son. And so I understand what that means to need to live by paycheck to paycheck. So I bring that type of experience to the table.
I think my experience with small business is, everyone knows who my husband is. He has a small business. And one of the things that I was really proud of that he's taught me is how to expand a business, the importance of believing in your employees. I know he came through COVID and didn't have to lay off anyone. That was remarkable. One of the things that I also have done is get out in the community and talk to business owners, small business owners, and to learn exactly what they need and what their challenges are. So it's been a great experience.
Yes, hello, thank you. I'm not a small business owner currently, but I'm an activist. I've done a lot with nonprofit organizations and dealing with the community as well. One thing I've learned that when it comes to a business and being successful, we have to let the people have a voice. You have to start from the ground up, not from the top down. We also make sure that our workers are protected. We have worker rights, possibly unionize our workers, and also making sure they're getting a livable wage, and maybe a 401k plan and some benefits, or maybe even a buy-in program into the business, which is going to help actually keep our employees dedicated to that business for longevity.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we are, because we liked it so much anyway. Maybe you all did, because you have to answer the question, but we're going to do it to you again. We're going to do another quick fire round. Commissioner Patterson, since you're smiling, we're going to start with you. And that question is, you have 10 seconds. So the question is, what Charles County Chamber events have you attended in the last year? Go.
So many golf, mixers, ribbon cutting. I mean, there's so many. Yeah, gala. Oh, of course, 70s.
I am ashamed, but I have not been to any of you all's events. I'm so sorry.
Unfortunately, I have not, but I am a member.
I have attended several ribbon cuttings, and I actually was the guest speaker for the ribbon cutting at Me Time Behavioral Health Services.
Multiple ribbon cuttings, mixers, and of course the fabulous gala that you had, where you had Westlake High School there. So thank you for that, and congratulations again.
Yes, hello. I don't think I've actually attended any mixers or anything along those lines, but I think I actually did meet with the Chamber of Commerce, I think when I was a Citizens Academy here in Charles County, and I met with your legislative group, which is very important. Make sure you guys are passing that legislation, and that's where I come in.
I've been to some ribbon cuttings, and over the last, I think it's been about 5 years, every small business week, we go and visit small business owners in the county with economic development in the chamber, so I've participated in that for the last 4 years, I think.
Unfortunately, I haven't attended any ribbon cuttings, but I did attend events that were hosted in Annapolis. But I also did do a personal protective equipment distribution during the COVID pandemic, working with the Minority Chamber of Commerce.
No ribbon cuttings, but I did attend an amazing event for women at Cup of Sugar. Amazing at Cup of Sugar.
Thank you. In the last month or so, I attended the gala, which was an amazing event, and also the most recent networking event.
Yeah, I attend every board meeting because I am the community rep for board. That was fun. I also attend the golf tournament, despite me being absolutely horrible at golf.
I attended the 70th annual gala, and I also attended the legislative breakfast that was given by the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. All right, we're about to round up the end. We have closing questions. This first question, well, actually both questions are going to be asked of all candidates, and you have a minute each. We're going to start with you and work our way around this way. The Chamber has direct insight into businesses opening in this county and closing before 1 year or often not reaching a milestone anniversary. In one sentence, what is the single most important change you will make to ensure that Charles County truly becomes a place where small businesses can grow, not struggle to survive?
Keep the landlords accountable for how much they are actually charging for rent, so that businesses are not closing. Because I've seen them close within 5 months because they couldn't afford the rent.
So you have a whole minute, so everybody can keep using the commas. Brandon.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Business startup costs are exponential, okay? And the permitting process hasn't been fixed in Charles County for decades. We have to address the startup costs. Businesses take so long to get through the permitting process because there's a multiple step effort, and if you fail on one step, you have to go back to the beginning and start all over again, okay? That's not small business friendly. All right, we have to streamline those processes. We have to have a single point of contact at planning and growth management that takes businesses through these processes. We have to be able to amend those processes, okay, as they go throughout so businesses can get open faster, all right? Small business owners absolutely know what's best for their business. They wouldn't have opened their business if they did. We have to address the process in which it takes, sometimes up to a year to open a business in Charles County. And that is a huge problem. So we streamline the permitting processes, we make it easier. We have a single point of contact, and we amend the permits as it goes through the process so they don't have to go back to the beginning time and time again.
Thank you.
It was proud about the chamber. I think one of the things that county government needs to do is to develop a much stronger relationship with the chamber. So when the chamber is aware of businesses coming in, this county government, along and including economic development, would work very closely with them, mentor them, find out what they need, and find out what resources the county can provide and what are the pathways for them to get there. Not only to get set up and to get started, but to help them flourish. Because as we know, these small businesses build community. That's what builds our community. That's what brings people here. That's what makes us proud to be here. But we can only do that by partnering with the chamber, with economic development, and also with the College of Southern Maryland. They have a very robust workforce program there. And if we can start pulling those together, then I believe that folks that are starting new businesses there have a much better chance of succeeding, not just opening up, but really flourishing. And really, isn't that what we want? That was their dream. That's what they came here for. It's our responsibility of government to help them be successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every business needs foot traffic. Every business needs foot traffic. They need it Monday through Friday. They need it all day long. And they need not to have to wait until dinner time for them to compete against everyone else. How do we increase that? At the bottom line is that the county has to work towards corporate headquarters. We really need to bring corporate headquarters to Charles County so that we can keep residents inside the county during the day, working here with great salaries so that they are using the businesses all day, every day. We are known as a county where we sleep here, right? But we go out everywhere else to spend our money and live our lives. The only way to do that is to bring business here that is bigger than the small business so that we can support them all.
Thank you.
All right. So beyond infrastructure and doing the things that businesses need support on, we need to make sure that we're supporting businesses beyond their opening day, and not allowing businesses to open while they still need things. One thing that I heard over the last 4 years, although I was away, is that there's a big issue with the liquor board, and a lot of businesses are opening up and they're still needing permissions and things like that. So we need to ensure as county commissioners that we're holding the people we put in place accountable for the economic security of our county.
It's a great question. I'll tell you, I've heard a lot of streamlining, a lot of fixing planning and growth management. I will tell you what we've done. We just recently had a work group that made a presentation before the Board of Commissioners, which involved the Chamber, the Small Business Permitting Work Group, that came back with some solutions and some ways in which we could actually streamline, not just say it, but actually do something about it. I think when you talk about what we do to follow up with small businesses, our BGAP program provides access to mentorship and funding to provide them help them with their business plan. So I think those are two things that we've done. We can always do better. I think the best thing government can do within the scope of the state law, because a lot of things are governed by the state law, is just get out of the way of businesses. Let them do their business. And at the end of the day, providing feedback to our state legislatures and our state department heads like MDE about the critical area. These are the type of things that snaggle up businesses. And I've done that and advocated for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Question again, Doctor, please. Question.
The entire question?
Please, Doctor, if you don't mind.
No, it's all right. The Chamber has direct insight into businesses opening in this county and closing before 1 year or often not reaching a milestone anniversary. In one sentence, obviously more, what is the single most important change you will make to ensure that Charles County truly becomes a place where small businesses can grow, not struggle to survive?
Yes. First of all, certainly want to create some kind of possibly a business fund that would help keep the business afloat during their opening period. I would also like to think about planning and zoning to make sure the businesses are zoned in the proper locations, and also think about rent stabilization as well, because we had a business here in the county, Bad Acts. We just got the information today. There have been a business here. They've been a business here for I think 2.5 years or so. And unfortunately, they had to announce today that they had to move or shut down because where they were, I guess the landlord who was on the building did not feel they were compatible to that space anymore. So we have to make sure that we are protecting our businesses. Maybe get, like I said, once again, a business fund or something like that, or a business commission that's actually going to give our business actual protection and rights to help them stay longevity here in Charles County. I'm getting tired of us taking our money outside the county. We need to keep our money here.
Thank you.
I was thinking about the question that was asked previously about what small business that you've been to lately, and I looked down at my nails and I said, I've been to a nail salon, which reminded me of a conversation I had with someone about they went to go get their nails done, but outside of Charles County. And so one of the biggest problems that we have, and I've talked to large businesses, small business owners, is called retail leakage. We have to ensure that EDD is working with the chamber to make sure that we are getting the information out to the public about, yes, a lot of people leave the county every day to go to work, but we have to make sure we do a better job with shopping and spending our money for things and services here in the county. We have to have, these businesses have to have the buy-these, they have to have the sales in order to stay open. And we have to do a better job with getting that information out. Some people just don't think. They stop in Brandywine before they come home. Instead of going to the Safeway in Brandywine, go to the one in Waldorf. We have to get that message out.
Thank you.
Several things. First, we must show up. As county commissioners, we should be in the community understanding what the needs are. We should have plenty of conversations and meetings with the Chamber of Commerce so that we can identify what is our measure of success. Because right now as a county, we do not know what that means, what that looks like. A small business advisory board would be a great way to bring the chamber, the economic development agency and the Board of County Commissioners together so that we can make sure that we are addressing all of the needs for the small businesses here in Charles County. And the next Board of County Commissioners will be able to explain what the measure of success looks like and how we are achieving those goals.
I believe new businesses, we should all support the new businesses and improve our permit and code process. I think one of our biggest goals is to keep the money here in Charles County. And also, I believe that we should also bring in government type jobs here in Charles County so people don't have to always go over to DC to work there. And that should all be trying to bring jobs here in Charles County. Also, businesses should be thinking of, well, the commerce should be thinking of bringing businesses here in Charles County where families can enjoy a sit-down dinner with their families to try to enjoy their family time. That's one of the things that I would like to bring here in Charles County because people are eating, fast food. People are getting elderly here and they would like to not go to a fast food place all the time. They want to sit down and enjoy. So that's one of my goals. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
When we talk about small-owned businesses in the county needing foot traffic for people to patronize their businesses here in the county, I think we need to talk about investing in workforce development housing here in the county. So where teachers and first responders and essential personnel are able to live in the communities in which they work in, which would also in turn allow them to spend their money right here in the county. We also need to streamline the permitting process and make it more affordable for small business owners here in the county. We should also be partnering and building coalitions with the Chamber of Commerce to work with our county agencies here to understand where the needs are, because we as candidates, we as commissioners, we as elected officials, we can sit up here and talk all day about the things that we believe in, but those who are closest to the pain deserve a seat at the table. And those are the people who we should be speaking with and having these conversations with when we're talking about how can we strengthen small-owned business ownership here. And like you said, the Chamber of Commerce has insight to businesses who come here, so we should be utilizing that knowledge and building relationships upon that.
Thank you.
For me, it's about prioritizing small businesses. If it's not important, you're not going to make it a priority. If it's a priority, you make it important. And so for me, it's always going to be about making the main thing the main thing. And so with that, you have to make sure that the business community, especially the small business community, because that's what gives us our unique identity. That's what helps us to make sure that we remain Charles County and not like other surrounding counties that don't look like us. And so for keeping our unique footprint and our unique appeal is going to be important by supporting our small businesses. And also it's going to make sure that we have to change the mindset of planned growth management. They have to have a mindset of customer service. It is not that the small businesses work for them, they work for the small businesses. And that takes a whole mindset change, because when you hear from a small business that doesn't get a call back from PGM for 2 months, but yet they have to pay payroll, yet they have to keep the lights on, that's a problem. The main thing is that we have to change the mindset of the entire county government, make the priority the small businesses, but also make supporting those solid small businesses essential as well.
Thank you. Okay, we have one question left. This is going to be a 30-second question. I'm going to make Ralph talk again. He's not going to take a breath. And then afterwards, because we have a decent amount of time, we're going to have 30 minutes for networking with the candidates and with everyone in the audience. All right, ready? Okay. The Charles County Chamber is the oldest and largest business organization in the region, and we are the voice of businesses. How do you plan to support the Chamber if elected? And if not?
Looking right, Kathy, I 100% am going to support the Chamber, because you know what? If you don't support the Chamber, then the Chamber won't be around for 70 years. If you don't support the Chamber and show up to events and mixers and everything else, then businesses won't grow. And then we'll be looking around wondering what the hell happened. And you know what? It's our fault if we don't support. And so with that, I plan to be at every mixer, every event that I possibly can be, because you know what? It's important. It's important for people to see that their commissioners are on the ground. They're not just talking every 4 years. They're not doing the thing on Facebook. They're actually at the events, showing the community that they're about the real life.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The Charles County Chamber is the oldest and largest business organization in the region, and we are the voice of business. How do you plan to support the chamber if elected or if not?
I plan to support the chamber whether I'm elected or not by continuing to do community outreach and coalition build with you all. Going to galas and mixers and cute events is nice, but I think that a great benefit of working with the Chamber of Commerce is actually organizing with you all so that your priorities are held to the forefront, not just when the commissioners are hosting public hearings, but instead of having those backroom door deals with developers, we need to be having conversations with people within our community who are business owners who are part of the Chamber of Commerce. And so I plan on organizing with you all and bringing you into the world of advocacy because we deserve a seat at the table.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will be attending the events, and definitely I'll be asking for future advice regarding the community and also how we can move forward with our endeavors with Charles County and small businesses. I will look forward to, if elected or not, I still will be looking forward to the information that I will be receiving. And again, I am a member of the Commerce, so I'll still be involved. Thank you.
A community is only as strong as the support to the small business owners. And so I have always been a small business supporter. I spend all of my dollars here at small businesses. When I was the NAACP president, all of the monies that we spent were with small businesses here in Charles County. We have to honor the legacy of the chamber. We appreciate the chamber. We send 6 people to Annapolis and 3 people to DC. We need to partner with them better to bring more money so that small businesses can thrive better here in Charles County.
Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, I will continue to support the chamber by attending events, but there's something else that I do with that I will continue to do, even as Commissioner President. When I'm out at businesses and talking to business owners, one of the things that I always ask, are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce for Charles County? And when they say no, I pull up the website, I show all the information, and I encourage them to become members. That's really important. So I do that and will continue to do that.
Yes, thank you for that question, Doctor. As far as the Chamber of Commerce, I will certainly continue to support the Chamber. Most importantly, whereas my areas, when it comes to your legislative department that you have in the Chamber, I'm certainly hoping that you all would certainly put your needs and your wants on the table, and we can certainly draft the legislation and get it to Annapolis and get it passed, because that's when the real work starts, when it gets to the legislation.
Thank you.
You all have been great partners over the last 7 years. I will continue to advocate not only in policy but in practice. I think it's important to show up, to be educated when you show up for the policy matters. We just had a recent meeting of the Board of Commissioners where they asked for a letter of support for a piece of legislation. Immediately I asked what's the position of the chamber. We got their position. We moved forward accordingly. I appreciate what you all have done. I will continue to support and work, show up to work, be educated on the issues, and ensure, like myself as a small business owner, we advocate. Thank you.
May you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The Charles County Chamber is the oldest and largest business organization in the region, and we are the voice of business. How do you plan to support the chamber if elected or if not?
Thank you for that question. When elected, I plan to use my experience to my benefit. So I didn't know what the Chamber of Commerce was until I graduated high school. And the only reason I knew that is because I'm very informed. I stay informed. And what I would do is encourage the Chamber to go out to the high schools and possibly even the middle schools to let them know how to get pushed into the local workforce or how to become entrepreneurs on their own. And then just let them know my position and how I got involved and to encourage youth to do the same so they can be the future here in Charles County.
Thank you.
For me, the best way to support the chamber is to reimagine Charles County, to not do what we've been doing before, but think about not just small business, but how all businesses can be beneficial here in Charles County, how all businesses are able to be successful in Charles County. So just reimagining where we are to bring in new, fresh ideas and spaces for families to grow and learn to enjoy and love being in Charles County.
I think there are a couple of things. Number one, certainly, if elected, there are a couple of ways that we can support the chamber. One is to make sure that they are always at the table, that they're here with the Economic Development Department and any kind of growth or whatever that we're hearing from the chamber and so forth. We've got to keep you at the table because you're the ones that are going to be telling the county what's coming in and what's needed to thrive. The second one is certainly, if I'm not elected, I'm out, I'm still talking to folks. If I hear something, I will bring that to the chamber to let them know what need is there. And much like Commissioner Stewart, I've always asked them if you don't belong to get them to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was first elected mayor of the town of Indian Head, we worked with the chamber to establish the Military Alliance Council, an organization that has brought millions of dollars into our communities in infrastructure improvement and business development. All right? We've also worked with the Chamber and the Military Alliance Council to tear down blighted and vacant buildings in partnership. Right? Partnership is essential. We utilize the Chamber so much, and I can say that I'm genuinely proud to serve as a community rep on the board. But we use the Chamber because they are an organization that can point you to grants, can point you to things that will deliver results for our communities. So I will continue to do that despite being elected or not. Thank you.
I believe that when you go into somebody's house, you don't tell them what to do. You ask them, how can I help? I think with the Chamber of Commerce, I would say, how can I help? How can I be a voice since you are the voice for Charles County? What voice do I need to go out and speak to our residents about and our businesses about? How can I help? How can I support? How can I be a servant leader in the neighborhood and help us to push all the agendas forward that aligns for the best for our residents and businesses?
Thank you. And that's time.